What's up, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Wizards Latest. I'm your host and DC sports fan, Ben Robertson, and on this page, we break down all the biggest headlines surrounding the Washington Wizards. So make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons down below. Drop your comments with any thoughts you have for me on this video or anything you want to hear me talk about in the future. Appreciate all the support here on the road to 1K. You can also hit me over on Twitter at BenRobertson32. And today I want to talk about an interesting possible addition for the Wizards' future. Then we'll break down who is on the training camp roster. And lastly, I'll give you a couple of my biggest takeaways from Wizards Media Day. Again, guys, appreciate the support here on the page. And like I said, let's jump into Walker Kessler conversations. Of course, Media Days around the league yesterday, and something interesting is rising up out of Utah. Walker Kessler, a bit frustrated with his situation heading into year 4, did not get an extension here this offseason. And while Media Day, usually kind of a place of excitement, a place of everybody, just being fired up about the upcoming season, we certainly saw that here in DC. Kessler, in only so many words, made sort of his feelings on this situation clear. He was disappointed he hasn't been extended, and as of now, he's headed towards restricted, let me see if I can get that out, restricted free agency next offseason. And as we've seen here this summer, restricted free agent situations can be awfully tricky. And, those circumstances and negotiations can, just get heated quickly. And right now, both the Utah front office and Kessler are sort of making it clear they don't want to negotiate publicly. But again, as we've seen this summer, you never know what can happen with those restricted free agent situations. And our guy, Bryson Akins of Wizards on SI, thinks that Washington could capitalize here on this situation, either with a midseason trade or with the sign and trade next offseason. Now, the midseason trade obviously would have to involve picks, which you wonder if maybe a sign and trade next offseason might fit the Wizards front office and their competitive timeline just a little bit better, might be a little bit more appealing to them. As we know, next summer is a time that maybe the Wizards aren't pushing all their chips to the middle of the table, but they're definitely, throwing a few in there. I don't know. You give me your best poker analogy. I don't play the game. But again, I do think that Kessler is an interesting fit here because he's a lot of the things maybe Alex Sarr isn't, at least right now, which makes him, again, kind of an intriguing option, either as a, future backup for Sarr, kind of a 1-2 punch off the bench, or maybe, as we've talked about in the page, it is certainly possible for the Wizards' future, you could pair them together in a 2-big lineup. Obviously, you imagine that combination, the defensive potential of it could be incredible. Kessler, also known for his shot blocking. Again, I will say that's kind of where the similarities end for those two big men. Kessler kind of, a big, physical, already great rebounding center in the league, really efficient from the floor, 68% career field goal percentage, but he's not taking outside shots like Sarr is. Now, back to kind of the options in acquiring him on the midseason deal. If that were to go down, I think you'd have to have some sort of assurance from Kessler and maybe his representation that he wants to be in DC long term, and that is kind of, it's not you're just renting him until he gets to restricted free agency. Obviously, there, where any other team can come in and offer the player, but the Wizards have the option to match whatever offer might come in from around the league. But I want to dive into kind of the training camp roster. Of course, Wizards training camp getting started here today, at least on Tuesday, on the day of this video's release, and 21 players on the training camp roster going in, 16 standard contracts, 3 two-ways, and 2 invitees / Exhibit 10 deals. So I'm no math major, but 16 standard contracts, there's 15 standard roster spots for the regular season. That means somebody has to go. So that will be kind of an interesting point to look at as things progress. I think the Exhibit 10 guys are fairly intriguing as well. Will Dawkins has made it clear the go-go are going to be utilized more this regular season. There's going to be movement from both the NBA and G League rosters quite a bit. So I think those guys, they're a bit of a storyline going uh into training camp. Jonathan Pierre, Keyshawn Gilbert. The two ways though are really who I want to look at: Tristan Vukcevic, Jameer Watkins, and Sharif Cooper. Vukcevic obviously back this year, Jameer Watkins the rookie, and Sharif Cooper the new addition. I specifically want to hone in on Tristan Vukcevic. If he plays out the year on his two-way contract, he's headed back towards restricted free agency, who we just got done touching about a little bit. Now, I've wondered on the page, could that contract at some point during the year, if moves get made, maybe get converted to a standard deal? Because I believe that's a possibility still with the two-way contract. Um, Again, maybe some moves open up a legitimate roster spot for him. But let's be honest, the big men positions right now aren't super deep on this team. It's why I'm talking about, hey, is maybe Walker Kessler a future option? Vuk is going to have his chance and his opportunities to prove himself, and he's going to have to go out and claim it now on the court here this season. Excited to see what he can do. It was such a strong close to last year for him, went off those last few games, that it kind of just left you wondering what else could happen for Tristan. Again, he's going to have his opportunities, and interesting to just keep an eye on, or interested, I should say, to keep an eye on his two-way status as the year progresses. But I want to jump into a couple of my biggest takeaways from Wizards Media Day. Of course, again, today, day one for training camp. Yesterday was Wizards Media Day. And one of my biggest thoughts was, man, the Wizards have been grinding here in this offseason, not just on the court, but in the weight room. A number of guys talking about their added muscle, added weight to their frames. Bub Carrington, AJ Johnson, Keyshawn George, Alex Sarr, all of them have put on weight here this offseason. Alex Sarr's listed weight is up 20 pounds. We saw that in Summer League and in Eurobasket. Just shows you what type of work this team is putting in here in the summer, and kind of leads into my final point, to be quite honest, which was, Will Dawkins. We heard him refer to the offseason as a jump season. Players are trying to take a jump forward here in the summer. And we heard the players sort of using that term unprompted at Media Day as well. They were just kind of using that interchangeably. Nobody referenced the Dawkins comments. That's just what they were calling the offseason. We know, again, from what Will Dawkins said, that the amount of times that players were at the facility, on the court, in the weight room, was something the Wizards front office was very keen on tracking. They were monitoring closely. But I think what's more important is that the players, at a lot of them at a pretty young age in the NBA, have also embraced that mindset and that work ethic as well. And it's only going to help them. They know how competitive this roster is coming into this season. Maybe not in terms of NBA standing, but in terms of, hey, who's going to get minutes? Who's going to stand out and carve out a role here with the team for the future? And I just think that competition, I think players are understanding that competition and pushing each other. And I think also they're just going to only get better if it doesn't work out here for their futures. One last point here on that. I mean, again, just so important that you have that work ethic. You have to put in the work to take those steps forward that we're hoping to see from some of these guys. I mean, CJ McCollum even noted he's never been with a team that's worked out on Media Day, and that's a very serious NBA vet right there. Just very impressed with the culture that continues to be shown is getting built here in DC by this front office, by this coaching staff, and excited to see what goes down here in training camp and in the preseason. Let me know your thoughts on the video down below. As you guys can see, I've been on the go here this last week. Should be home tomorrow. Not sure if this is something you guys notice, but just enjoy my backdrop at home a little bit more. Think the episodes look just a little bit better. But again, guys, appreciate all the support here on the page. Keep tuning in every single weekday. You can also hit me over on Twitter at Ben Robertson32. Make sure you've hit those like and subscribe buttons. And thanks for watching another episode of Wizards Latest.